Are we on? All right. That took a little bit of time. All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome aboard to the Morning Note. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thank you so much for taking out the time of your day. Join me this morning and every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My apologies if the microphone isn't the best. I'm using a Bluetooth headset. I left my AirPods at the house before I came to the office, so I had to use this. I use this for meetings with the team. Has a longer battery life. It's a cheap little thing from Amazon. I mean, it is what it is. I'm just happy that I had a backup of some kind. Either way, good morning all. It is May 25th, 2020. It's Wednesday. Let's get to work. Let's get started. Dow futures down 95 points off its lows, off its highs too. We were higher earlier in the morning. Nasdaq futures down 0.38%, S&P down 0.30, kind of muted to say the least from what we're used to. Russell down 0.19%. 10-year yields. This is why I have this chart up. These are 10-year yields. We had a durable goods order report come in. Yields did fall, which are nice. Remember, we were as high as 3.167. Now we're about 2.742. So I just made a note for the bloggers today regarding an economic backdrop for a snapback rally, which I think is actually in the cards. I think we do bounce relatively very soon. If not, probably end of the week green, for sure next week green. I mean, are very close that we're getting not to a bottom, but a short-term summer rally, and then we'll fade probably into the midterm election season, which is in the fall. The reason I say that is because the bond market is telling me that inflation is starting to subside a little bit. There was a report in regards to break evens rolling over. We're starting to see oil kind of hover around, not get too crazy. Only one is gasoline, refined gasoline, being the one that's really spiking. But we've taken a look at crude oil. It's been kind of just sitting in a range. So 10-year yields, again, I look at this every day. You could see this downward channel. Again, I'm not saying, oh yeah, the worst is over, because we're just in a channel. We could definitely bounce off 2.6, no problem. We could probably bounce to break above 3. So again, these are just charts and what could possibly happen. Let's take a look at our good friend at E-mini Futures and see what they're telling us today. Let me cancel. I don't want that. Okay, here we go. A lot of yellow lines, I know, I apologize. Yellow line here is your gap fill. We came close last night. How does this sound familiar? Oh, that's right, we had that yesterday. Remember on Monday, we got close to that gap fill here, 39.06. The gap fill is around 39.04, and we bounced. And then we had a gap down. This was the Snapchat guidance gap down. Continued lower during overnight futures, came down, tested, broke below that gap fill to around 38.80. So we can call 38.80 as an intermediate support. So we did bounce, and we were looking at to fill this gap. We didn't quite get there overnight. Sound familiar, right? I say that we're going to go and fill that gap. After that, we'll probably overshoot it as much as we overshot here. 4,000 seems about right. I think we probably get to around, I would say 39.85 today. That's going to be my call. I think we go higher today. If you're looking for some kind of two support system or another support level, 39.05 is a really decent level. That'll be 390 on SPY. Just take away that last digit, or 391 if you want to call that. That's your first level of support. That was that first gap fill. We overshot it, obviously, yesterday, but we did bounce. So you can say a intermediate or a short-term low would be 38.80. Let's do a couple lines together because they're always fun to do. Okay, we always talked about head and shoulders, right? Remember we kind of talked about that? We talked about the shoulder, head and shoulder pattern, right? Call it whatever you want. Head and shoulders, inverse, usually bullish, right? So we got that push, not enough to get us too excited, but again, a nice push. Then we had that fall on Wednesday. That was Powell talking. Yes, we have FOMC meeting minutes today, 2 p.m. So we have a left shoulder, we have a right shoulder, we have a right shoulder, and we did break higher, but then we went sideways. But we're still on a technical basis, kind of, holding that neckline around 3,900. So 3,900, 3,905 is your support short term. Keep that in mind. I think we go higher. Again, 40.43 was my target. That would break this downward trend. But again, 40.43 by the end of the week sounds about right to me, even though it's a Wednesday. That's about 100 points, 120 points from where we are. Not too terrible to get, especially with market volatility, but that's what I'm looking at here. So again, a lot of bullish patterns here. Bond yields going down, inflation looking at with leading indicators going down. Some retailers are mixed. Not everyone's Target, not everyone's Walmart. But at the end of the day, some pretty good headwinds coming in the market. Let's take a look at tailwinds, excuse me. Let's go to VIX. Volatility index, ascending triangle, we can call it that. I think that's a pretty good pattern to go by. We can just do this. Let's go here and we can start kind of setting up some lines. And if that's the case, then looks like we have a little higher. Well, Carlos, how can that be? We're going higher, but you want things to be bullish. Of course. Why do I say there's a nice line? Yes, but we do have a gap to fill too on VIX. I think we get there today, 28.51, more than likely bounce or very key support of 28.02. So that's what I'm looking at this morning in terms of the macro environment. So I definitely am leaning to going long. Would I want to buy stocks here? If you're looking for a short-term bounce, yes, I'd rather trade it than just buy stocks here that I want to sell later. So that's kind of what my thinking is. I don't think the end is here. I think we still have more to go down. 3750 is my level that I'm looking for. Again, that's a 17 times, I believe, forward with a 3% yield being calculated in. I think that seems about fair for the S&P. Even though we do have some levels to watch on S&P. If we want to go ahead and explore that, we can go to the weekly chart. 3664 is definitely in the cards, but I got 3750. If you're looking that we're going to retest 2019 before the low, that's 3338. 3482 is the 200-day. Very key level. I read an interesting article last night regarding that 200-day moving average on bear markets with recessions. Those tend to break, hence COVID. Broke below that. Again, the weekly chart, 200-day moving average, very key. Let's answer some questions. Good morning, everybody. Austin, thoughts on snow? Again, I think I've said this a couple of times regarding cloud companies. It's a very, very competitive space. There's so many cloud companies. Snowflake is trading right now, if we look at the stock, it's not even an S&P stock. It's trading it doesn't even have a PE multiple because they're not profitable. And in this environment, it's not time to buy these kind of companies. You don't want to buy aggressive growth here until we see some kind of a bounce or meaningful stabilization of interest rates. Because if interest rates go higher, it costs for them to borrow. And remember, your money is more scarce now. You have purchasing power as the dollar continues to go higher relative to other currencies. Interest rates go higher. That means your dollar is more valuable because it's more scarce. So if we know that, that means we want to be a little more selective on what we're buying in terms of stock. This is not the cycle to get into those names. When you start getting a boom or a push, a bull market, then it goes into more speculative, more revenue-driven businesses with more upside. I'm not saying they'll never come. I'm not saying Snow's not a good company. I just don't think Snow right now is a good company to buy now. Remember, Lamborghini is still Lamborghini. Whether you see it, I see it, my neighbor sees it. But it's all about what you pay for. Again, we want to buy a Lamborghini, brand new Lamborghini for 100 grand. I'm pretty sure you'll find the money. But if it's 400,000, okay, man, maybe have to wait a couple of years. Put that on your vision board and start planning. But again, completely different. Still the same asset, but the price matters. So no, I don't think Snow. A trade, sure. If you were talking about a trade, we can chart it together. But to buy it, no, I wouldn't. And you can see Snow is just a downward trend on the hourly. I mean, these cloud companies are taking a hit. Your 200-day moving average is giving you the actual trend line. Until you break above that, well, until then, you're just waiting it out. Tesla under 600, definitely a possibility. Tesla's starting to get there. Let's go to take a look at the Tesla's PE. We'll go to PE multiple on FinViz. We'll go to a forward PE guidance that gives us more of the growth element in terms of Tesla. It's trading at a 40, guys. That's expensive in this market. Only real estate is higher than that right now in terms of a cyclical type, because real estate is cyclical in a sense. No one's going to buy a home in a recession unless you're a speculator of some kind or you have cash. But when liquidity gets tight, mortgages cannot be obtained. So again, expensive, 39 PE for an auto manufacturer in comparison to Ford being at a 12 and GM being at a 35. So we say GM is expensive. Ford is cheap. Ford is cheap, 12 PE. I'm not saying that Ford is better than Tesla, obviously. We know that. But again, it's expensive. Same deal. We talk about what you pay for. Again, I think Tesla cars are great. I'm not going to pay 80 grand for a Model 3. That's for sure. I'm sure it's an amazing car, but I'm not paying that because I know the value, in my opinion, of the Model 3. But again, under 600. That's the question. Let's take a look at the daily. Well, we talked about some key levels on the weekly. One being, I don't know why I have two alerts. This one is at 552.60. Yep, right there. 501.59. You also have right here 560. I think we do get below 600. We'll probably just tap it, kiss it, and then we'll get that summer rally, and we'll continue higher. You'll probably get to 712. There's no gaps to fill to the upside, so nothing there. There's only one gap to the downside, guys, and it's scary, 250. So you could definitely get there. Not saying it's impossible. It definitely happen. So Tesla's definitely weak right now, regardless. And the thing is that it's a valuation right now. A lot of people, a mixture of things, but valuation is expensive in this environment. You don't want to buy that. You want to buy something cheaper. Thoughts on NVIDIA? They do report today. Had that question many times. What do you think will happen on their earnings? I think they beat. They're a strong company. Obviously, I own shares. AI technology, graphics technology. NVIDIA is great. The only thing with NVIDIA, again, we talk about this, is the price. Price is trading at 24, 24 multiple. You could buy AMD for, you could buy AMD for an 18 multiple, or Qualcomm with a higher dividend yield, and it's only at 9.74 PE on a forward basis. So NVIDIA being the largest of the major semiconductors, the question is 24 times multiple. Do we want to pay that premium for NVIDIA? NVIDIA's price action has gone down. The good news is that if they show great profitability, that PE will be recalculated. Guys, PE, price to earnings ratio, or stock price in that sense, if we're in that context, it's like pull-ups. You're either going to get stronger or you got to lose weight in order to pull that weight higher. I need profits to go higher or I need that stock price to go lower. One of the two. If you are looking, especially as in a value sense, you want to buy things that are cheaper in terms of value, like if there's still value there. Yeah, for example, we know Roku is cheaper, but is it still the value there? How about this, Snapchat? I know Snapchat is a mess. Trust me, round trip basically to COVID, but keep in mind, more revenue now. 5 billion in revenue versus 1 billion. I saw on CNBC. Again, if you're just doing basic valuations, again, they were valued at $7.89. There was no stock split. There was no buyback that I know of. That was 1 billion in revenue, $7.89. We're right now $12.84 with 5 times that revenue. Cheap. Snap, in that regard, is cheap. If we're looking at Snap stock in general, they don't make profit. It's a revenue-based company. So if you're looking at revenue in terms of pricing in revenue for future growth, Snap is not bad for a trade at all. But I do think NVIDIA beats. Now the question is, how do the investors respond? If it's a knockout quarter, they're going to get bought. If they miss, it's going to be a disaster. They're going to fall in the drag every single semiconductor with it. That's it. John says, sorry about Mbappe. Yes, we do have Champions League on Sunday. I'm a Real Madrid fan. So let's see if we could just win the title without Mbappe. Obviously, we wouldn't have him anyways, but let's kind of focus on the positive, Madristas. The price of computing power really has made an improvement and justify the consumer cost of increases. I'm not a big computer guy, personally. I wouldn't know much in regards to like performance upgrades and whatnot. But yeah, there's a lot of people that really, really love NVIDIA hardware. I've seen it on StockX where it's on sale. Imagine, the place for sneakers and clothing has graphics cards. That shows how much demand there is. Who is United going to buy and sell? Lord help me. I don't even want to think about that. I'm just glad the season's over. Liverpool is going to go for a treble. 2 domestic cups and the Champions League, but Real Madrid is staying there. I think who will Manchester United buy? Who the hell knows? Wan-Bissaka's gone. I know that. Uh, who else is going to be? Mata's going to be gone. A lot of cleaning house. That's it. Ronaldo's going to stay. Ronaldo, Bruno, to me are the most consistent players on that team. The fact that we're going to keep Harry Maguire, that's all you need to know. I'm just get rid of Harry Maguire, and I would consider that a win for that team. God help me. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Have a great rest of your morning. GARcapitalFX.com. As always, have a good rest of your morning, and we'll catch you guys for the aftermarket recap, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great trading day. We'll see you soon.